Welcome to the 13th round of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross. I'm Broc Glover at the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Track Walk, and I have a co-host, Shane McGrath. You grew up not too far from here, Shane. What, about 200 miles? How far is it from where you grew up?
It's probably about 200 miles. I have some family members coming down for this race, and this is my first time since 2020 racing in Atlanta. So I'm really excited to be here. I've been watching on TV the last couple of years.
Well, I'll tell you right now, doing it a little different today. This is an early track walk, and I mean early because we're doing it on Friday. The schedule is also early, and tomorrow's track walk is scheduled at 6:30 in the morning.
Yes.
There was enough complaining about the riders this week that they actually did an either-or track walk, so you can either pick today or pick tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mother Nature, I don't know, she had something to say about that because about maybe 20-30 minutes ago, the skies opened up and just flooded the track. Unfortunately, didn't have it covered, caught them off guard, and you're gonna see the moisture on this track right here. And speaking of this track, measures out at 3,910 feet. That, to me, I believe is the longest Supercross track in the history of the sport. I mean, to put it in perspective, this was always the granddaddy length of them all here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And that being said, last year's was 3,600, so another 300 feet, and Daytona's 2,800, and that's considered a big track. So as you mentioned earlier, this is the first outdoor motocross of the year almost, huh?
Yeah, and like this track too, it's so different than Daytona. It's like this track, you don't have the sand. So it's like, okay, well, we have to challenge the riders. We have to keep the track busy. So it's more jumps, more whoops, everything laid out on this track. And it's
two big sand sections, a couple sections of whoops. We'll be able to see it all out here. We're going to start walking now because we're going to try to keep this thing down. First of all, we're going to try to stay upright because falling in this Atlanta mud would be real easy to do. And on top of that, we have a long track, so we'll try to keep this thing down to the 30-minute range at the most. And that's not going to be easy to do when you have to walk this far because you put it in perspective. This would be like putting the Houston Supercross and the San Diego Supercross, putting both tracks, combining them together, and that's the length of the track we're talking about. So it is always a fast track, which, you know, seems to play right into the hands of a guy like an Eli Tomac, and maybe, you know, after what we saw the 250 class from Hayden Deegan, he seems to really like those fast tracks. So maybe Hunter Lawrence here, because this is a 250 East race, maybe Hunter Lawrence would have a little competition from Hayden. But getting back to Eli Tomac, I was looking at some stats on Eli Tomac, and some riders, you just come to a certain town and you just feel really good, and they always seem to do really well here. Well, Eli Tomac has raced in 3 different venues here in Atlanta. You know, from the old Georgia Dome, back to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and then here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Eli Tomac has only won 1 time in 12 tries. This is his worst venue, yet he's got the championship lead, and we're gonna see what happens. And then his competitors, guys like Jason Anderson, Cooper Webb, they both won a couple of times here. Chase Sexton would obviously like to get one of his first wins here in Atlanta. But that all said, everybody's got their eyes to see if Eli Tomac can take advantage of this really fast, big track, because that seems to be where he excels. So.
And I think the last couple of years we've seen it. Like Eli rode really hard last year to win that race that he won, and the residency the years before, like there were some really fast guys that didn't quite put it together on that night, but they were arguably faster than Eli. So it's going to be a really good race this year because a lot of people do well on this track, on this dirt, and Eli is doing really good at the moment. So a bunch of guys that can win.
Well, the long start right here, we've got, you know, a couple 250, 300 feet into the first corner, big wide corner. The long starts, for some reason, when I've really watched these starts, and I especially watch Eli, sometimes I see him come off the gate and he's just kind of what I would consider an average spot. And that Yamaha, they seem to have that thing running really good, and it pulls ahead. You see the same thing?
Yes, and I think with the longer starts, if you can drive out of the gate good, Eli is super good at laying the power down outside of a start. So when he gets out of the gate and he has a little bit of room and doesn't have to shut off, I think that's where you see Eli's best starts and Eli's bike really coming to life.
So coming in this corner, it looks like it's going to be a little bigger than it is, a little wider, but honestly, to me, it pinches off a little bit, coming right out of this little rhythm. And it's kind of interesting because you have the front straightaway of the speedway here for the cars, and they're right next door, so you're going to see a lot of fans there in the certain areas. They got them behind a few barriers, but this is just like Daytona where they allow the fans up close. So they're going to be able to be right there where you look around. You can see on the camera, you're going to be able to have fans standing this close to a first corner, which is pretty cool. So coming out of this right here, if you would like to, you want to run the camera over there, we'll try to walk some of this. But this is really slippery. Again, they weren't able to have the track. They did a real fast accelerated build, and they had the track covered knowing there was going to be some nasty weather yesterday. But this little storm that blew through, it just came out of kind of nowhere. Whoa. And I'm telling you, it's slippery. So
what I do like already is the way that the jumps are built. Like last weekend, it was a very good racetrack. Super close times. It's not super technical to do the rhythms to where everybody is racing for that fast time. And for me, this first section, I like what I see because it's going to be some good racing. Even with how long this track is.
Come right up here out of the corner, just a real quick shot up onto this table. Maybe some possible downside in this table right here. Well, we'll see what happens. And then at that point right there, you're kind of off. You got 4 jumps ahead of you. So then you're like, what's the advantage if I do 2 and then 2, or if I maybe get 3, it doesn't really help because you still got airborne time after the single. So I don't know, everybody's going to be trying to risk it too much there.
Conditions are going to be, what kind of determines this section right here.
Exactly. So the weather's supposed to really cooperate. Tomorrow's supposed to be good. But again, an early start. I mean, we have a 2:30, I think, opening ceremonies. We're going to be done, completely done walking back to the trucks well before 6 p.m. tomorrow night. So interesting enough. So, gonna cut right on the edge here. This is looking, whoop.
Oh,
there we go,
dude.
Good save.
Hey,
there
good save.
This is not, save the camera, save the camera. So it is really, really slippery. Anybody who's ever raced in Atlanta understands the Atlanta Adobe and the red clay around here. It's tough, man. You're a local, Shane. You're a, you know this. I mean, you grew up on this kind of dirt, right?
Which growing up on this, like, once it gets packed in, the water can just run off, and so you can keep riding. But with this being a new track build,
oh my goodness,
it is soaking in. That's for sure.
They just decided, look, we got to drain the starting line, so they took this thing down to here. I'm sure they're going to be pumping it out. We're going to have to walk around this finish line jump here. Got crews working on it. So Shane, tell us about your early career. You weren't one of these guys that grew up racing from the time you were very, very young. You went to Loretta's, but on a limited budget. Had some success, turned some heads at Loretta's, to where when you came out on the pro circuit, you ended up picking up a ride, kind of right away from the Troy Lee team. They being on the left coast like that, I think they just go, we just found this guy from Tennessee. You don't know much about him, but he seems like he's got good work ethic and he can ride real well. So tell us how that all came about.
So I mean, I went to school until, like, public school until my senior year.
Okay.
So it's like I didn't really get to put in the time. And once I got homeschooled for my senior year, I went to live at Club MX, and that was my first full-time training. And so with that, I've got a year of training under my belt, and then Tyler Keefe approached us at Loretta's that next year and started talking, and shortly after that I went on my first plane ride out to California.
Unbelievable. So Tyler Keefe was team manager of Troy Lee teams,
Designs.
And at that time they were still on Hondas, weren't they?
Correct.
Yeah, they were still on Hondas. And so Tyler brings you out. I actually have to tell, I mean, I did talk to Tyler when you first got signed, and Tyler goes, man, this kid came out on the first time he'd ever been on an airplane. Comes out to California. Of course, it's an awakening going from Tennessee to California. We're gonna have to go around the finish line jump there. It's not possible to even negotiate this thing on our feet, not standing upright. We're having a hard time walking the edges here. So we might need to work our way out onto the front front straightaway of NASCAR here so we can get some asphalt underneath us, because no more camera falling on the ground there, okay? We don't want the, it's a big hitter. So this is a fishing pole here. So when you
Yes.
came out, get back to the Tyler Keefe story. He tells me that you're standing around at Troy Lee, and maybe they didn't have the most busy agenda for you for the first days, and they turn around and you've got a broom in your hand and you're helping them clean the shop.
Yeah,
so,
I just I assume responsibility early on. It's like, hey, you guys need help. I don't have anything else to do.
Hey,
so.
there you are, team players. So
yeah,
excellent story. Not too many modern riders would be out there. Not too many modern riders would be out there sweeping the shop, but good for you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so coming in this corner here, we come off the rhythm section right into this very typical old school over and under. We talk about how steep they are, but how they put the little lip in the jump.
Yeah.
Kind of a takeoff point, so you're not taking off right at the crest.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to flat land it. Right?
Yeah. These things, when you actually jump them, they're like 20 foot long, and I mean, we have to almost be off the gas completely to downside that. So this is a little bit of help on making it safer.
Yep, we're going to walk around it because those kids being kids, they look like think they're in the snow or something, because it is about that slippery right here.
Yeah.
So you got it. So over under jump, crisscross, and then you go right into a right-hander here. You got a 90-degree right and a whole bunch of slop here. You can see a lot of the other riders out here taking advantage of this Friday optional track walk. I think tomorrow morning I'll be surprised if you see 10 riders show up at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, otherwise you got to get up at 5:30 in the morning to be out here by 6:30 walking the track. It's already a long day physically, so I'm sure
That's tough. Yeah,
I don't think they're going to do that. So little knob in here, you know, who knows? A lot of guys seems like they're hitting this knob just downsiding this first jump right here if you want to hit the camera. Yeah. And then at that point you can kind of get your double and then run into the whole section here.
See, I mean, what we're already seeing is how busy this track is. It's like Daytona, where they're talking about the sand, and it's like you forget about the jumps, but it's like this only has jumps on it. Yep. And this is one rhythm section with more jumps than we would have on a normal Supercross track in this one lane.
I know, I think I counted, I think there was 12 in this one rhythm section.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of activity, huh?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, there wasn't, boy, it's, but you know what, last year they were coming through here and it was kind of an opposite layout, but you know, the track raced really well.
Yep.
There was a lot of passing, so we'll see what happens. Again, some of the areas down here where they've actually had the tarp on the track, when they had a lot of rain yesterday again, and these are the seams right here. So the seams leak. That is, you would probably sink up to, you know, I don't know, that's going to get a rut this deep in about the first or second bike. So we'll see how they maintain that throughout the day. Got a little wind coming in us in our face here, so this is good. Helps dry out the track.
Yes.
So
and it's supposed to continue this afternoon.
Yep. That's
because
great.
I think we're going to need all the help we can get to do some of the jumps tomorrow. With these conditions.
So tell me about the first time you ever came to Atlanta. Atlanta's first Supercross, Fulton County Stadium, was in 1977, and it was the opening round that year of a 10-race Supercross series for the AMA's championship. Bob Hanna, Yamaha teammate in 77 of mine, he won that race, and then the final round was actually Anaheim, which is reversed to where it is today, and he actually booked into the series and won the championship. But Fulton County Stadium went all the way until they went to the Georgia Dome. When was your first Supercross?
My first Supercross, I believe, was in 2004. And that was at the Georgia Dome. And it was like the only thing I remember from that race was one, getting separated from my family in the pits. I turned around and they were gone.
And was that by plan?
No, I was like in amazement at some of this, like some of the bikes and stuff. I turned around and like some people had just walked between us, and I panicked. And I'm like,
oh my god,
no, hey! And I found them. But
how old were you then?
I was 9 or 10.
That's a panic for parents and So you got separated. And what else do you remember about the race?
Ricky Carmichael jumped off the track, and I wasn't paying attention at the time. I just heard the crowd go crazy. And all of a sudden, like, he jumps back into frame from the backside of the berm. Like he had went around the berm and just launches back onto the track, and I'm like,
how can you do that?
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Were you hooked?
I was hooked, yeah.
Right then, did you realize I want to be a professional motocross racer?
I was hooked.
That was what you wanted to be. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I look back at your talking about, so we're going to come off this rhythm section through here, and these are like mosquito bites.
Yeah.
In the real realm of things.
Yes.
They're oversized braking bumps.
Yep.
They are whoops. In my era, these would have been gnarly whoops, but
yeah.
they're not anymore. You guys just blitz through there with the modern bikes and suspension.
Well, for these, with how stiff our suspension is, these are good landing pads for us, because we wouldn't want to flat land off a jump like that.
Do you think people will launch off that last one and come? They'll be landing in this one of these pockets.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be like, some people might try to go a little further, but there will be a consistent landing spot that's like energy efficient and fast.
Yeah. You talk about energy efficient. Yeah. This is going to be an interesting race. The 20 minutes here, we're not even going to come close to 20 laps. We're seeing racetracks. The racing this year, we're seeing the 26, 27 lap main events. You're not going to even sniff that at all. Again, there's a good chance, especially early on. I mean, last year with 2,600 feet, you were talking, we were looking at the lap times, and they were creeping into the mid to high 120s. But I think with this extra 300 feet, a good question. We could see some 140s, and it's going to be some long lap times. And, so we're...
It's going to be a long race, and the thing is, we have the finish right after the start.
Right.
So that could add another lap for us, but still, I mean, it's going to be 16 to 17 laps.
Yeah,
you're max.
You're going to be a disappointed person if you're winning your heat or winning a race or something. You come by and you see the clock and it's got 2 seconds on it, and you got to go another complete lap. That makes a big difference. It's a long lap. It's not a 40-second lap. So.
No.
In and out. This dirt feels great here. This is kind of the old sand. We talk about, to me, this was the kind of dirt. You can even see some glistening in here. Little grains of sand here.
Yeah.
This dirt is what I remember that they actually had. A lot of people have no idea and recollection. There was actually a national here 3 years in a row. In 1978, 79, and 80, they held an outdoor motocross national outside of the stadium, or outside of the speedway. In the back, in the trees, partially in the trees, but part of the dirt was a lot like this, and I remember it well. In 1978 was the first year that I actually raced that race. So this dirt looks a lot more familiar to me. So coming out of here, coming back onto the start straightaway of
I haven't seen a triple yet. I've only seen 3 big doubles.
Big doubles, yep. So we're, this is the distance of a triple right here.
Yeah, and it's also turning a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit coming out of that corner, accelerating from the right-hander.
Yeah.
Do you like right-handers or left-handers better? It's turning. Does it matter?
Yeah. I don't really think it matters. Okay. I think a lot of people have different styles for left-handers and right-handers, and I think each style requires different practice, and so it's like you can't really hit them the same, like left and right, and so I think it's just, each one takes a special skill, and you have to work on both.
Well, from a show point of view here for the fans, this corner right here is absolutely, the landing's even cocked to sideways, and it is absolute turn. Double jump that's in the middle of a turn. It's this inside of this jump all the way to there. That's boy, that's quite a bit of turning there. That in the middle of that jump there. It's going to be interesting to see how it races.
We've had some off cambers, I know for sure, at Daytona, but it's like, this is a rare sight to have an off camber like this.
Okay, maybe we can turn around at what Shane's talking about right now. Let's get a good view of this. This corner right here is a complete banking off camber, built this way obviously on purpose. Downside is what? It turned into a pond. It just turned into a levee right here. That's completely full of water over here. And
so it's turning left, but the slope is to the right.
Right.
And so when you get up here, your bike is going to want to drift all the time to the outside. But you got to keep turning left.
So we're gonna see what ends up getting. It looks like it's got a little sawdust in it, kept it kind of soft. It's gonna get multiple lines through here. Hopefully it won't get one lined, that's the fastest. But yeah, they've got a lot of water there. They're gonna have to pump that out, otherwise that water is gonna seep its way into the base of this off camber. So
it'll stay in this dirt all day.
All day. It'll be the last place they need to worry. It will, the water will wick itself into the dirt. So, okay, now we're coming out of that. A little bit of a downside shot here. And from the rider's perspective right here, if you really hit this thing hard enough, looks like you can land, actually hit the over-under jump there. So
what I do see here though, is this left side coming out of the inside of the off camber is a lot more laid down so the off camber is almost like a split lane, just with no bells. Well, now this speed check or wall kind of plays into that also, with being steeper on the right and lower on the left.
Good observation, because a much lower pitch on this side, really steep wall to slow you down here. So you come on the outside, you're gonna hit this thing, it's gonna suck up some speed, throw you up high. This one's gonna throw you out long. And then we're gonna see right here when you come around the back side, it's just a pretty basic landing. I mean, it's about as flat and basic as it is, as a Supercross track can become. So it's gonna be fun to see. Again, that right-hand side, I mean, you don't want to send it too much there. I think back at some of the
with how much speed you can carry through there, and turning, this wall or this tunnel is not in a very good spot.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of interesting. I think about some of those incredible videos of people. I think about the Johnny O'Mara jumping, the last lap at Daytona, and I think about Eric Kehoe's old shot coming out of Gainesville at Gatorback. If you pulled one of those right there, you would land up there. You got it. We got the boys playing around behind us, Colt Nichols. And
we did have some nice dry dirt under the tunnel. That was good to see.
Yeah, that was good. We got one little shot, and then coming right into a set of just rollers. So this is when we got to talk about people that excel at this. Who do you think about doing the rear wheel wheelie all the way through this at flat out speed?
Eli Tomac.
I think of that.
The one and only.
Used to be the #3 bike. Now it's got that shiny #1 on it. That's pretty cool #1 background that Yamaha came up with last week.
That and the chrome graphics, I was a big fan of that. That looked cool.
Me too. And even I watched it up in the stands at Glendale, and that bike stood out really well. So good job on the Yamaha crew for that. So, coming into here, sand, and it just kind of gives you the feeling like you're supposed to go straight. But right here, you're going to do a sharp 45 across, right in front of the starting gate, out of the sand, flat out here. You might want to walk this side, because this is where they were lumping out.
And this sand here feels a lot more grainy than Florida. Like it's not so fine and loose, and like walking on it there, it's like, okay, it's gonna get some ruts, but I feel like those ruts are gonna stay there. Whereas Daytona could change every couple laps in the really fine sand.
So I don't want to tear a scab off of a wound. I want to actually congratulate you on such a strong season. Let's talk about the 2020 250, it was the East Championship, wasn't it, that you were so close with? You and Chase Sexton were locked into a battle. And that was the year of the pandemic. Series gets shut down, regroup, reorganize, and we find out, well, Salt Lake City's welcoming the Supercross series with open arms. And we're gonna run 7 races in a month. First, did you like the 7 races all in one location there at Salt Lake City?
I did. I felt like that was really one of the first times we got to go to a venue and see the venue, like see the city, actually see, okay, what's Utah about? And I mean, that's what I tell people a lot, is we go so many places, but we don't see a lot of things. Like we're in and out of the races.
A lot of people, we all had to stay there for a month. Everybody, every person I talked to enjoyed it. A lot of people got Airbnbs and condos up in Park City, which was spent a lot of time mountain biking, training, practicing. So we go into the series and we have 7 rounds. Not all of them are east, they're west. They split it up. So you win the Salt Lake round with 3 to go. So the fourth race
the first 2 in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
yes.
And so you win, and at that point, you and Chase Sexton are tied in the championship.
Yep.
So after you're tied with the championship, there's no co-host of us.
How we doing?
Good, man. You had a good run, Dino. You had a good run last week.
Oh, it's not bad, not bad.
Good job,
Not bad.
man.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So Shane's been our co-host.
How's the track looking today?
It's pretty sloppy. What do you think?
Well, what's the weather supposed to look like from now till tomorrow?
Good.
It's good from now on.
If it's good now on, we're dialed. It's
Yeah.
going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Track looks fun though. I think it's going to be a fun track.
Yeah, this is another one that you seem to get around the high-speed tracks.
Yeah,
pretty well,
good.
too.
Because you know, not a lot of turns, more straights, which is good for the old knee. You know, keep the feet on the peg. So I'm happy with that.
Well, very good.
All right,
well,
guys,
good
have a
job,
good
man.
one.
Good one.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. All right, so we go into the race. Again, you're tied with Sexton for the championship, and then you got 3 more battles royale.
Yeah.
And Chase he brings his A game.
Yeah.
You had your A game too, but you
Yeah.
guys had great battles. Chase ends up winning the last 3 in the championship. He takes it by 9 points. So, it's one of those things. Do you look back at that series and go, man, how close I came? Or do you look back at it and say, you know what, I gave it my best, and a guy like Chase Sexton's a pretty darn good rider.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like
Yep.
in the moment, Chase is a competitor. You don't want to look at him. You don't want to even see what he's doing. It's like, dude, I just want to keep working. I want to win.
Yeah.
And then it's like to come down to it and get beat. It's like, I remember just sitting there, after the race, I was pretty disappointed on how it played out.
In what fashion?
Well, it was more so we started the race, the final round. I got the whole shot, and Chase was pretty far back. I'm like, sweet. I'm just going to try and win, let the rest play out. And then we got red flagged on that one, and it's like, shoot. Well, then at that time, they watered because they were.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. It was
we sat on the line for a while.
Yeah.
And they watered.
Yep.
And so then we started again, and I got the whole shot again, and Chase was right behind me. But I rode a little bit defensive, and there were so many new situations for me that year that it was after the race, I kind of had Chase passed back after he passed me.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well then I just one simple wrong move, and there wasn't any traction there from where they watered, and Chase got a gap on me, and from then on it was I just couldn't catch him. And after the race it was just like, dude, I just didn't know what to do. It was just so new. But I mean,
you didn't have a lot of it. I mean, you honestly didn't have this lifetime of experience. Some of these kids start at such young ages. They've had so many of these situations, it becomes second nature. You, on the other hand, you started racing almost as an adult, and then it was so it didn't happen. So coming through this sand section, we come right off a sand section, across in front of the starting line, 45 degree, back into a corner. One jump landing into a sand section. So for certain they're going to launch off that first dirt jump and land as far as they can into the beach balls of sand. There's a nice launcher right here that I think from here you're kind of doing a little chicane here.
Yeah, there's a lot of chicanes here.
Yeah, that's unfortunately sometimes the chicanes make one lines. That's a little bit of the problem. But again, this track is so long and so wide and so big that it should have a reasonable amount of passing opportunities. So the one line excuse is probably not going to hold up completely there.
Well, and the thing tomorrow that nobody really thinks about is we have 8 minutes of practice tomorrow.
Wow.
And we're going to get maybe 4 laps.
Think about that.
Four
That's
laps
true.
of practice.
So look at right here. This is coming off the front straightaway of NASCAR, running through here, and they're going, okay, this is literally a flowing river that I'm standing in right here.
Yeah.
Yep. If my mom's watching, she'd be yelling at me for playing in the water. But
well, at least you got your rain boots on.
Yep. They're pumping it out right here. They've got hoses over here, and they're running it down to a drain system. So this is a modern speedway. They've got all the facilities and all the drains in the middle to keep the water off.
And kind of back to what I said in the beginning is this rhythm here for being after a chicane, it's it's pretty open to you can screw this rhythm up and bounce through here and still be okay. It's built safe. And that's what with how busy this track is. it's looking good.
Yeah, so yep, again, a lot of these transitions are full of water. Unfortunately, again, we're sitting out here, sun above us.
Yeah.
You got sunglasses on and the whole deal, and it's you know, just an hour ago it was pouring rain. Like people were running for cover. So yeah, it's still got some soft spots. But we're gonna see what happens here. So
yeah.
Well, coming into here, a little up.
Got another speed check, looks like.
Yeah, this is gonna be a kind of a speed check corner. I'm going up the side. You can walk around, no problem. Quick little tabletop, very short across the top. It's, you know, barely what, 20, 25 feet.
Yeah.
It's got a little knob over here is all. So come out of this corner, hit it here, and then just a real quick, nope, there you go.
Yeah.
Down the side. I'm gonna try to stay over here. Looks like we have a chance.
Yeah, this here will be one line just because you're trying to get through it as fast as possible and as short as possible.
Yeah.
Like just with the quick switchback like that, because we don't need to go to the outside here to make this jump.
Yeah.
Unless it is pretty muddy.
Yeah.
But I mean, just with the bikes today.
Yeah, even the 250s have enough torque, and they're just the 250s. So speaking of the 250s, I mean, this series has kind of been just the Hunter Lawrence show.
Yeah.
I mean, the one race that Nate was able to win, the Thrasher. But in general, it's just been the Hunter Lawrence show, and both of the Lawrence brothers. And first, you know, when Hunter came over here, and it's somebody a little bit like yourself. I didn't grow up racing Supercross, so you know, this like you mentioned, quick double here, and then into another fast section right here. That's going to be interesting to happen.
Another set of, what did you call them? Mosquito bites?
Mosquito bites, I think I called them, because they were so small, and like you said, with your bikes nowadays, you just hit them. These are a little bigger than those mosquito bites. These could be a wasp bite, I guess, or something, a little nastier. A few rocks and stones, but so coming into here, there's 5 of them. You can do whatever again, I think you guys land and you just go as fast as you can and see where you end up facing one, and once you hit it, you just use it as like a braking bump to jump the next one
and try to find a rhythm after that.
Exactly. So getting back to Hunter, it's just, if you've been watching, I mean, the 250 classes, it's, you know, Hunter came from a motocross, MotoGP or a MXGP background. Comes in, starts learning it. He definitely didn't have that talent Jet did on the Supercross track, and then all of a sudden, he's coming around. And he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's certainly seems to really separated himself. So have you seen the same thing we've all seen, huh?
I mean, just from last year, Hunter has definitely stepped his game up. And that's well-rounded, stepped his game up. And he's like, Jet is. Unfortunately, Jet is almost the face of the Lawrence family. Just the popularity, everybody loves Jet, and rightfully so. He is arguably the best 250 rider on the track right now. But Hunter has been in the shadows, and he's been working. Same with Johnny O'Mara. That they put in the work, and Hunter is Australian, but he's the great American workhorse example.
Exactly.
Like that we get to watch right now.
Exactly. The blue collar, put it down. He's done it. He didn't grow up with a crazy amount of talent, and, you know, supposedly natural talent, but it's amazing.
Hunter has worked for it.
So coming out of this corner right here, you're thinking it's 3 right out of the corner, no problem. I mean, 450s.
It definitely will be, especially with that run. Like that's a kind of a abnormally big run for a Supercross track. But with how small these jumps are, it's like realistically it's triple and then triple. But depending on what's after that 5-footer down there, you don't really want to boost off the 5-footer.
Right. So you're seeing what Shane's talking about. A lot of, I'm going to call these 3 to 3.5ers, you know, and then you got a 4 or 5-footer there. So you got one knob much higher, one jump much higher in the rhythm here. So I won't be surprised if I see a quad right here. I don't know about you. You're standing on the 4th one right there, and it doesn't look that far to me for the 450 guys.
That's not for the run coming in.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that's more of a condition jump also. If somebody can get a good run there. This is pretty forgiving.
Yep.
And
nice smooth backside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because even if it's not that, I see a double and like push through the double, triple, and then triple over the big one.
Over the high one.
And then that way you're low to the ground all the way through the rhythm.
Yeah, so the last thing you're trying to do is to hit that big tall one, because that just sends you up in the air, and not what you want to be doing there. So again, maybe it's 4, but it's but if you do 4,
then you go 3.
Then you've got to go over the tall one,
over the big one,
at least a 3, which that's.
And then you could jump the rest of the way out.
Yep. You guys never cease to amaze me, I'll tell you, and I think in general the fans think the same thing. And I love the fact, again, if you turn around right here, the fans are right there. I could just toss a little rock. That's where the fans are. So they finally, it's not often in Supercross you really get the down low perspective, the point of view that you guys see, and then they can really truly see how fast and how far you guys are jumping. So.
And when we come through this, they'll be able to feel it on their feet.
Oh yeah.
Like they feel the force of us going across the ground.
Yep. It's like sitting in the front straightaway when the lead pack at NASCAR comes by on the start. The stands rumble. So now this is a chance. Not a chance. We can come look at.
This is a true wall here.
This is a wall.
Yeah.
And this is not the Monster Energy claw logo right here.
That was some little kid.
Yeah, some little kid that got his run right here and tried to climb that thing.
Yeah.
And he drug his fingers all the way back down. So that's pretty funny. I hope he did it on purpose, but if not, that was.
I hope he still got his fingernails.
Yeah, exactly. So that wall right there is to lose and scrub some of that speed.
Yeah.
Speaking of speed, you see Cooper Webb walking around with his mechanic Carlos Rivera. Those guys are just kind of stealthy, sneaky, checking it out. They know how important it is right now. He's got to pull that momentum in a little bit.
Yeah.
Here. And he's capable of it.
That he is.
I think he probably would prefer a really tight little track. He's really good. He's unbelievable at the tight stuff. So but now we get into the whoops. This is our first of 2 sets of whoops. This is a mess. I guess we can go down the left side.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where to go.
Yeah, I think we're going to go right down this here, in between lane here. Kind of interesting, traffic going the opposite way here in the whoops. I hope, you always wonder about that. Whoops can be places bikes get and riders get separated.
Yes, and, very much so. I did not think about that. Which there's probably a good reason why they put the wall before the whoops. Because that's going to slow the speed down coming into the whoops.
So you're coming in here, and most of the time when you get in trouble in the whoops, you do rodeo it most of the way out, and at that point the track does separate a little bit. But they are pretty close here, going opposite directions.
And I did realize that now that we're here, we have back-to-back whoop sections. Which for some reason I was thinking they were 2 separate.
Nope. Yeah, you see the whoops here, but they do. It's a unique combination here, going back down, flat out backwards down the starting line here. Starting line that way, and then back. It's a wee bit confusing.
And this is going to be tough because the berm is almost a half berm.
Yes.
With it being on the side of the start straight like that.
Right.
So to set up for that turn is going to really jeopardize a position and also your run through the whoops if you're playing defense or whatever the case is. So this is going to be very interesting tomorrow.
It will be, and it's this is incredible here. There's still some grass out here in the middle of this right here. You can see there's still, this is the infield for NASCAR, obviously for the speedway, and it's there's still grass, so this is firm, a little slippery but firm.
What's crazy is this is sloped also. I mean, you think they're gonna like use this dirt for all that?
Yeah, so the reason it's sloped, I mean the whole stadium, coming off the front bank, they slope everything to run the water that we saw earlier running down towards pit lane. They've got drain systems in there, and it's not built for Supercross, it's built for their NASCAR track.
Because outside of the start, there's a nice little place for a lake to form down there.
Yes, so they have some dirt here they're working on, they're gonna finish it. So again, you mentioned this earlier, it almost looked like a 90-degree corner a berm when you came into here, but it's a little bit more than 90, but not a whole bunch more.
Yeah.
But if you're a jumper and you're going to come into this corner, you could stay really tight and just kind of do the jumping method going through the whoops. I mean, the outside berm for a blitzer, no question about that, would want to be.
I mean, these whoops, just from looking at them though, they don't look like they're built to be jumped with how short of a run you have coming into them.
Right.
They're almost built accordingly to the entrance of them. And so right away, these, maybe if it were a mud race, we would start jumping, but I don't see us jumping through these tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. Like
Very good. Yep.
These are a well-built set of skim whoops.
Perfect. Okay. Well, as we go head our way down through these whoops, I'm going to cut over here too. So each one has a little bit of water in it. They seem pretty firm underneath. Sun's baking on them, so we're nice. It's kind of fun to have a big track like this, and it's appropriate to have 2 sets of whoops.
Yeah.
I mean, the track's long enough to have 2 sets, that's for certain. So.
Yeah, no, I think this is built like last weekend. I was really excited on the track walk last weekend in Glendale, because it was just like, dude, this is a really good racetrack. There's multiple options. Like, it's not risking your life to do one certain rhythm, and if you don't, then it's a second time difference. And this is built really well.
So this is kind of interesting. The whoops come out and they dumps right off into the first corner where we basically started our entire track walk here. So
what was our lap time?
40 minutes. Oh,
41 minutes.
41 minutes. It's a little long, that's for certain. So
yeah,
it's a long track and it's hard. So thank you for tuning in to the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Track Walk. Shane McGrath, thank you very much. This is your 45th or 46th 450 Supercross coming in here. So come off your top.
I'm not sure.
I saw that statistic. So very good.
Okay.
You moved up a few years ago. And so good luck. Last week was your top finish ever in your career and tied it. So nice. Keep an eye on out there, the number 12 Suzuki, and thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. We're all the way up into New Jersey and Meadowlands, so thanks for watching.
Cool.